wanna watch a drama. You say you wanna watch a comedy. Well, you can watch it with your mama, or you can watch it with your daddy. You'll even sit and watch it with your middle schooler, so you can come and talk around a water cooler. We're watching all day and all night. Couch potatoes unite. Whoa, whoa. Couch potatoes unite. Whoa, whoa. Couch potatoes unite.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name because it's a very friendly distraction, a VFD if you will, which has been fortunate enough to become something more than it started. Isn't that nice? I'm the blogger in question and the self-styled chief couch potato. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU, ! Is getting ready for summer and hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panels and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including but not limited to Stranger Things, iZombie, The X-Files, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., New Girl, The Originals, The Crown, Once Upon a Time, Will and Grace, Orange is the New Black, and 13 Reasons Why. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Grace and Frankie, Fuller House, American Horror Story, Doctor Who, The Good Place, Gotham, Schitt's Creek, Arrested Development, Game of Thrones, Supernatural. The Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 2 of The Punisher, and the DCTU will revisit all 4 shows in the CW's Arrowverse. We'll be launching new panels covering Westworld, Jane the Virgin, The Americans, Riverdale, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and Altered Carbon. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll be launching our mega Star Trek retrospective into space, the final frontier, in the near future, and we'll take a smallish look at a short-term show from some kind of yesteryear, namely Freaks and Geeks. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from bunkers and comedy shows and Comic-Cons, and we just went live from Blue Bridge Games to take a shiny look back at Firefly. Plus, we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff, so make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't tier your show in the podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews and we always seek new panelists, so if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback, even if it's a series of unfortunate events. Ba-dum-ching. Today, we're around the water cooler and returning for a final time to talk a series of unfortunate events based upon the series of novels by Lemony Snicket. If you're not already aware, and or if you did not listen to the first episode in this panel's history, you should know that from time to time, the chief couch potato, that's me, the main moderator, me, needs a break, particularly when I think others are more passionate about the show we're discussing in the moment. Case in point, this particular panel series, I'm not here to moderate, fortunately or unfortunately. Rather, frequent panelist Nick returns to the moderating microphone once again to conclude this series of not-so-fortunate happenstances, and is joined anew by co-panelists Krista, Kelsey, Selene, Jen, and yours truly. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome back Nick to the moderating microphone. Take it away, Nick!
Thanks, Kylie, and thanks, panel, for joining me in this discussion of a series of unfortunate events, which is an American black comedy drama from Netflix, developed by Mark Huddis and Barry Sonnenfeld, based on Lemony Snicket's children's novel series of the same name. It stars Neil Patrick Harris and Patrick Warburton. The first season, which premiered on January 13th, 2017, consisted of 8 episodes and adapted the first 4 books of the series. The second season was released on March 30th, 2018, consisting of 10 episodes and adapting books 5 through 9. And now we're here to talk about the third and final season, which was released on January 1st, 2019, and consisted of 7 episodes, adapting the remaining 4 books. All 3 seasons have received positive reviews, with critics commending its production design, writing, faithfulness to the books, and the performance of its cast. But let's find out what our panel thinks. Are you ready to start the discussion?
Yes!
All right, so you're going to be asked to identify yourself utilizing the character descriptions that I will read now. Did you watch the show because you care about the Baudelaire children and want to find out exactly what happened to them? In fact, you have taken notes and searched for clues to aid you with your investigation, like Lemony Snicket. Are you fascinated by the show and can't wait to tie your hair back and figure out how all the pieces of the show will fit together, like Violet Baudelaire? You enjoyed watching the show, but it just made you more interested in the books. In fact, when you finished watching the show, you had to find the nearest library and read all the books in the series from cover to cover, like Klaus Baudelaire. You enjoyed watching the show, but it's not your favorite. You know it has some flaws, or it might be a little slow, but you're not a baby anymore, and you can watch whatever show you want, like Sunny Baudelaire. You didn't really like the show, but there is one thing you might be slightly interested in, so you're going to keep watching until you find out what happened to that sugar bowl, like Esme Squalor. You have a passing interest in the show and check in on it just enough to help you get your promotion. But in the end, you realized you should have maybe paid a little more attention to it, like Mr. Poe. You hated the show and the Baudelaire children. You would rather spend your time starring in a play or staring at yourself in the mirror. In fact, you went so far to hide that you were watching the show that you wore a different disguise every time you watched it, like Count Olaf. You started watching the show because your boss made you, but when you came to a fork in the road, you decided to stop watching and pursue other interests. In fact, you probably shouldn't have even started watching, but one thing led to another and you kept coming along for the ride, like any member of Count Olaf's acting troupe. Or you didn't watch the show, because you were a baby on a desert island, like Beatrice. Who wants to get started?
I'll go.
Thanks, Selene.
Like last time, and I'm pretty sure the time before.
Hi, Selene. Well, Nick
Yep,
said
she's still Selene.
Nick introduced her. That was a hand me off.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Selene.
Hi, Selene.
Hi. Like last time, I am still a Violet. I love the show. I was fascinated. I love piecing it together and slowly making it, every episode being like, oh, putting things together, realizing my assumption was completely wrong, making more assumptions, figuring things out, and then finally getting to an end.
Okay.
All right, who wants to go next?
Her hair is tied back, P.S.
Oh,
It
is.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey.
Hi.
You can say it too.
You were so
It
eager.
sounds like AA.
Oh, well, maybe
This
a
is
little.
part of our thing, Jen.
Wrong letters, Jen.
Anyway,
Hi, Kelsey.
hi. Last time I was Violet because I really like trying to figure out all the clues. But I think this time I'm more Lemony because I started to get really anxious that it really was going to end, unfortunately. I was very nervous until pretty much the very end. So I'm going to change my answer to Lemony this time.
Completely lemony or still violet and lemony?
I try to stay away from combining. I mean, I guess technically still a little bit of both, but I think Lemony also has the aspects of still trying to piece the puzzles together, so I think I was more invested in just worrying about the end than still trying to piece things together, though I was doing that too. So I guess if I was being honest, a little bit of both.
Gotcha. Should you explain dynamics?
Yes.
What?
Oh, we're married.
Oh,
You're
you were
married now, which makes you especially dynamical.
Like we weren't before.
Celine and Kelsey are married. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Is this your first panel since you got married?
Yes, it is.
Woo woo.
Ooh.
That's exciting.
Hey, welcome back.
Thanks.
I'll go next.
Yay.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi. So, unlike Kelsey, I always choose at least two characters. It's my shtick. I always do it. Every
She
panel
does.
I'm on. So last time, I was Violet in Mr. Poe. Because I wasn't, super interested in the last season. That has changed. Because I really liked this last season a lot. So I'm still going to choose two. Because that's my thing. I'm still Violet. I was fascinated this season, and I loved figuring out how all the pieces fit together. But this time, like Kelsey, I'm also Lemony, because I wanted to find out what was going to happen. And I ended up going to Wikipedia to try to figure out what was going to happen, because I've never read the books. Well, I did, because I didn't read the books. So I'm like, really? This is how it ends? But this is how it ends? No! So I went to Wikipedia to search for more clues. Like Lemony. And...
Yes, if only Lemony had Wikipedia.
Right? Right? So Lemony and Violet. That's where I landed for the end of season 3.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks.
And now Jen.
Hi, I'm Jen. I think before I was Violet for both of the times we've recorded, and I think this time I'm actually going to do a combination. I'm still Violet, however, I'm going to throw in Sunny Baudelaire.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think at least by the time that they finished adapting I think it was the 11th book, when they were in the submarine, it might have been how I was watching it too. I was getting a little tired of it, just kind of felt repetitive. So I took a break from it, and then I finished watching it over the weekend with the hotel and then the island. That kind of sparked my interest again, but I wasn't too happy with how it ended, at least knowing what happens with some of the characters. So that's why I'm kind of combined for both of them.
All right, thanks, Jen.
Hey, I'm Kylie.
Hi, Kylie.
Hi.
Kylie.
Hi. So last time I was Klaus in this thing called Chavo the Wolf Baby.
That's what you picked. You very
According-
clearly.
No, I think I very clearly said Sunny, but not so much Chavo. But whatever. Revisionist history, man. This time I will just pick one, and that is Sunny Baudelaire,
Whoa.
which I have consistently been throughout the series. You changed the description for it a little bit more positively. So that's why I'm comfortable picking Sunny Baudelaire. I did enjoy watching the show. It is not my favorite. I do know it has some flaws, and it might be... I didn't actually think this season was slow at all. I thought this season was well-paced, but it does have some flaws. But I'm not a baby anymore, and I can watch whatever show I want. That seems that seems really apt. I did enjoy watching this show. I was eager to watch season 3. I really love a lot of aspects of the show. I have never read the books. The story is completely new to me, especially on this end. But I agree with Jen. I didn't love the ending for a lot of reasons, which we'll discuss.
I can't wait.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Kylie.
You're welcome.
And now it's my turn. I have been Lemony the whole time, and I'm going to stay Lemony, but I'm going to add a little Klaus.
You're doing too!
Yes! Welcome to my side!
It happens sometimes.
I'm solely Sarah over here.
So the reason I'm adding Klaus is that because I have some similar issues with... I feel like there's a lot of loose ends in a lot of the characters that they've introduced. And bringing some of those characters back, which it was fun to see them, I think just made you want more things tied up as well. The 3rd season made me really... I do want to read these books, and I'm sure someday I will probably at least read them to my kids. But I want to learn more about it and see if there are these... I feel like they're relatively large holes in in the story with some of these characters. But overall, I really enjoyed the show and would love to rewatch it. All right, I think that's all of us, because I went last.
That's true. Good job.
Selene should change her answer to Mr. Poe because she can't stop coughing.
Forgive me. I cannot stop coughing. I am so sorry.
I really thought we were going to find out that Mr. Poe had been, introduced to the mycelium, the mushroom, because he, couldn't stop coughing, but no.
That would have made an interesting amount of sense.
Yeah, but no.
No, they just did nothing.
They just never brought that up.
He also didn't cough
I don't even
as
think
much this season.
Yeah,
wonder
maybe
if
he
He
got
got
was
better.
still
complained.
coughing,
Yeah, just not as much, I thought.
I guess.
He also was more
Yeah.
useful. Slightly.
Slightly.
I mean,
Just
that's like,
slightly.
yeah.
They also,
Yeah.
going back to trying to explain his cough, when you first meet him, he's coming, I guess I just assumed he was coming from the house that was burned down. So he was still coughing from that.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
that it lasts, however many years this spans for them.
Right.
Not sure.
Years?
Is it just one?
I think it's just a year.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's just a year.
The longest year.
Year of their lives.
Yes.
They've encountered a lot of people who are now dead.
It's a very unfortunate year.
Yeah.
So I guess technically 2 years, because they spend a year on the island.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Yes. Yes.
Good point.
Oh, yeah.
But
That's
still,
not
but-
a year we saw,
No.
That's
Right.
true.
which I have issues with.
Alright, so we've dissected Mr. Poe a little bit.
Sorry.
Why-
As you do.
It makes him sound like a specimen.
But isn't he, though?
He is interesting. Why don't we jump into the season? Anything that anyone wants to just start with?
I
Anything-
started with Mr.
You
Poe.
did. Anyone else?
She's like, I did my job.
You did. Yep,
I
you know,
started the discussion. Yeah.
we can go right to the slippery slope.
Let's do it by episode.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
this is going
that's a
to
good
evolve.
way to do it.
Yeah, I think if we just free for all
It's going to be too
get
confusing.
really confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
I have too much ADD for that.
Okay, so the slippery slope is the first two-parter, and that's where Sunny is in the hands of Count Olaf. Count Olaf thinks Violet and Klaus are, well, we think, before it starts, they might end up, well, we know
Going
better.
off the cliff.
But they're headed for the end of the cliff, and we find out how they save themselves from that, and it takes place on the slippery slope where we meet the scouts, and Carmelita spats is back.
Cake sniffers.
I think that's one thing we can all agree on is that she's a terrible kid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is a
It
terrible
makes
kid.
so much sense when Esme adopts her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does.
Yeah.
That is like, yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. This works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's jumping ahead, though.
Yeah.
I said ADD.
Yeah.
I gave that disclaimer.
But it was a natural segue.
Okay,
I'll give you that.
thanks.
Yeah.
So the slippery slope, I enjoyed this couplet. I like that Sunny had a lot of focus. She's probably my favorite character outside of Count Olaf, I'm not gonna lie.
She's super cute.
She's
so
very
cute.
cute.
I really want to know, how do you make a baby act, and how does she do it so well? I mean, I know she's like, what, 3 now? Like, she's not really a baby. Maybe, I don't know how
I
old
think
she
there's
is.
some CGI that they are utilizing
Yeah.
to get specific facial expressions
I mean-
and compositing them from other, like,
Yeah.
she's not, I don't think they're getting it in the moment.
Definitely, but like even to just get her to walk a straight line from one place to another, like that's impressive to me.
She is a
Honestly.
genius baby, for all I know.
I think I think
Torpedoing my disbelief.
Sunny's played by 2 actresses, like they're twins.
That's pretty common.
They are. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like a la Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Yeah,
I think so.
Celine's looking
Yeah.
up right now.
Well, they only name one of them in
yeah,
the...
they do. Presley,
yeah,
is it
Presley's-
Presley Smith?
Oh yeah,
Smith or something.
she
Yeah.
might not be twins, actually, now that we say this. She's not in all of the scenes.
I don't think they're twins. I think that somebody else sometimes did her voice in the first season. So they
Tara
might.
Strong,
Well, that was Tara Strong.
voice of many characters, including Harley Quinn.
Whom
who's
I'm
famous.
representing today.
Yes.
Not that you, the audience member, can see that, but
But now you know
Literally
it.
representing, honestly.
honestly.
Yeah.
Since we are talking about Sunny, why don't we dive into her relationship with Fernald, who we, I think, just find out his name.
Like at the
Yeah.
end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's during
Yeah.
the submarine episode.
It is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
The hook hand.
And I
is
think
there.
it's Fernald.
Fernald. Oh,
Fernald.
I don't
It's
remember.
Fernald. Because
Okay.
it sounds like or
Fernald.
hooky.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that's adorable. But I kind of want to go back and watch and see how he interacted with her before that.
Well,
I
it
don't
was more
remember.
played off as him being dumb because he was getting cheated by a bait from. They played poker when she was in the cage the first time.
Yeah.
Oh,
In
yeah,
the very
yeah.
first episode, so they've a weird little arc for those two characters.
Yeah.
But it's
But-
precious. and
yeah,
there's
it was.
continuity there. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Gave
unexpected,
that-
not weird.
young child, her prodigy talent, a
Yeah.
chance to shine.
I mean, he was my favorite
Henchman.
henchman.
I thought
Followed
the
very
Yeah.
closely by...
I was
With a
going to say
determinate gender.
shenanigans. 'Cause-
Okay. Actually, probably. But because he ran away and couldn't be my favorite anymore, Hooky.
They weren't really on this
No, it
season
was-
very much.
They quit
Yeah.
after
No.
these episodes. At the end
Yeah.
of these episodes,
Yeah, I
because they
think
realized he
he-
was.
You might see them at the very, very end.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like,
the
this is
very,
where they are
yeah,
now,
end.
but
Yeah.
not much.
They left when the woman with no beard, hair and no beard, and the man with beard but no hair came in.
Mhm.
They had the super long names,
They
Yeah.
do.
Oh my god. Yeah.
and that the woman, I don't know her real name, but she's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Most recently, the Mindy Project.
Really?
Yes.
I looked both of them up. Yeah, they're both in a lot of stuff, but nothing like, I don't know, where they're the main person in
Yeah,
something.
they have like good like character-y parts.
Mhm.
But here's one of my complaints.
Uh-oh.
They came in and we know really nothing about them.
True. I mean, I don't know if this is still this episode, but they enact their plan, and do they kill all those parents? The whole city's on fire.
Yeah, so I think they kill all the parents of those orphans. Well, now they're orphans.
Yes. And then kidnap the kids.
Yep.
So
Yes.
that they can inherit their money.
Yes. So I assume
Grander
they're
plan, like-
successful with that.
which is insane.
Yeah, and
So we know they're very villainous.
And
Thumbs
we
up.
know that they, like, mentored Olaf.
And are apparently on the high court.
Yeah.
And Olaf
Yeah.
really needs their approval, like, super bad.
Because
Yes.
he really needs all of his parental figures and mentors' approval super bad.
Yeah. But beyond that,
We don't get much from it.
we don't get much from them, and I feel like these are characters. Now, I don't know if this is a device that is used in the books or not, or where they appear in the books, but I feel like there should have been hints to these two throughout, as opposed to, oh, now we're here, and we're very somber and disapproving of Count Olaf.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
I can
I-
see where you would want that, but I think how often do you get the full backstory of a character that just shows up before they're there? Like,
I mean, you don't
There
get it
could
all
have
the
been-
time, but these two
There
are
could be
fairly
mentions.
important.
Yeah. There could have been
So-
mentions to it.
I mean, but we'd only hear it through Olaf.
Yeah, it didn't
And
bother.
Olaf doesn't act like he wants to talk about anything but himself,
What if
not
we
who
had
made
seen,
him.
like, wanted signs
That's
with
true,
their
yeah,
faces or something?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, or a
maybe just
crime in the
hints.
background. Something with another layer. Just like, because when we get to the last one, we meet the guy in the island, and
Ishmael.
and it turns out that he was the principal and started VFD, so at least it was
Connected to
yeah,
something.
whereas they
Yeah.
didn't feel connected.
Yeah.
to
We
the
know
rest
they
of
were
it.
on the VFD before the split and may have caused the split, actually. That's about, but we don't know.
Did they do something to I forget, the twins that are part of the henchmen? Did they do something to their...
I think they
there's like an
made them orphans.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I...
They,
They weren't triplets,
Yeah.
were they? Like the Quigleys? The Quagmires?
The Quagmires.
The Quagmires.
They might have been.
I think
I feel like
I
they
think
did
they
that
dropped
ju-
that
I
one
think
too.
that might
It was
have been
like
a really, a really
quick
Offhanded
thing.
comment.
offhanded
That they were triplets, not twins.
I don't know. There's a couple of things that I felt were very underdeveloped. Those two were one. The other thing that was very underdeveloped was Kit Snicket. Coming in
Yes.
and then having this relationship, friendship, romance, what was it, with Count Olaf that motivated, now that's for later, but motivated his end of season actions.
Yes, that is another reason I want to read the books.
Yeah.
Even though Jacques Snicket wasn't in season 1 at all and he just showed up, that didn't feel as...
Ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Well, because he wasn't a like the greatest love interest to our villain, though. Like, that's what's weird, is we were led to believe that Beatrice was the greatest love interest to Count Olaf.
Right.
Oh, I always thought she was lemony.
Yeah, I thought
I
she
always
was.
Yeah,
assumed
I
that
did
Lemmy.
too.
We
and
were
which
led
I
to believe
yeah.
that it was a love triangle.
Yeah,
though.
there was a triangle involved. There were
But they were
definitely
all
hints in the first
friends.
season.
Yeah, in the first season when they were talking about that masquerade and she was dressed as the dragonfly, which apparently wasn't even a thing that happened and it was actually that opera, and I'm so confused. But during that was when whoever was piecing things together at that point, we were led to believe that it was a love triangle between the three of them, which was
I don't remember
I
that,
guess
but I'll
wrong.
believe you.
I'm okay with Beatrice and Count Olaf not being a thing.
Oh
But-
yeah, for sure.
But
Oh, yeah.
we had one scene, this is not in this episode, we had one scene with the two of them, which did not establish anything more than just a friendly intimacy. And then all of a sudden he was willing to, like, throw everything away for her.
I mean, he was already dying.
Still.
He's not throwing anything away if he's already dying.
Throwing away the characters we know it, like him doing anything.
Well,
I guess.
I guess his pride and dignity, in a sense, as a villain. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess you could look at it that we're way ahead.
Jeez,
But- I know. Kit Snicket gets introduced. She was on Girls, if you didn't know who she was.
She's in possession of the sugar bowl.
Yeah, she has the sugar bowl.
The friggin' sugar bowl, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Trey's anticlimactic. But
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was so mad about that.
Sorry, the Sunny of the group, I guess, is making it toxic in here, but I'm sorry.
No, you're just pointing out all the things that actually were flaws, which I
Yeah.
know there were some, but I did
Yeah.
really truly care about the
Yeah.
kids and wanted.
I
it to
cared
be
about the
good.
kids. I care about the kids and Lemony Snicket and learning who Beatrice is. But we can still talk about the slope. I liked the slope episodes. I thought that the whole backdrop was fun. I thought the focus on Sunny was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we met the triplet and that he's still alive. Whose
Yes.
first name is Quigley.
Quigley.
Yes.
I was real annoyed that they had to
Yep.
do like a little love story though
Oh,
with
great.
him and
Because she already had a
Violet.
little love story with
with
His brother.
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So even weirder. Just Same.
They're identical. What's weird
Wait,
is
yeah,
there's
why
an
are they identical?
and a third girl that would not be part of that identical thing. The way science works.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know if it's possible to have identical twins while another...
It's probably possible, but statistically really, 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 really rare.
Yeah, I think that's actually accurate.
probably-
I
it is
do think it's possible, but yes.
It's probably an example of VFD using IVF.
Probably.
Hey.
They probably call it VFD though.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Slippery Slope, in case you didn't know at the get-go that the man with a beard and no hair and the woman with hair and no beard were evil or horrible villains, they quickly kill off the carnival freaks.
Yeah,
Like-
one of which was Robbie Amell.
Oh.
Which I don't know why they needed to die. They were trying to kill Kit, so I feel like I already took them seriously. So that's another thing. In the book, do they die, like, so quickly? Or... Because they were seeming to have a turning point. Like, they realized they shouldn't have gone with Count Olaf as well. I just thought it was, like,
I do
whoa.
think... No, never mind. I was going to say the rest of the troop comment on it later, but they literally just go, oh yeah, no, they're definitely dead.
Yes.
It wasn't like a
Mhm.
helping to make them realize, oh, maybe we shouldn't, but no.
Maybe they just needed to get rid of the carnival people.
I
to,
think
to move
They
them
did,
off
but that's
the
what it
plot.
seemed like, too. They just
Yeah.
needed to get rid of
Yeah,
them.
it was a very obvious plot point of like.
I love you, Robbie Amell. Not as much as your cousin.
Alright, so also in the Slippery Slope, we get to the VFD headquarters, and we find a very burnt-up library, and Klaus has to decipher a message.
And that
was
hot
amusing
tub
to
was
me.
so deep.
Very deep hot tub, yes.
It wasn't just a caved-in hot tub.
No,
they
was
make
very
a,
But
they
if
make
it
a point
caved in,
with
would
how
there be
deep it
walls
was.
still around it? It that tall?
I guess
No.
not.
Also, Esme Squaller's outfit, her skiing outfit.
Oh, they keep getting more ridiculous.
Well, Count
was
Olaf
so
doesn't have
in.
big disguises that much in this season.
No,
No.
so they
So
had
I
to...
think that
No.
was like...
That- yeah.
She-
the costumer needed something to do.
It's still one of my favorites. I might like her more than Olaf.
I
I
agree.
did. Well,
The man
like
with
as
no
in
hair.
love to hate, yes. I love to hate her more than Olaf.
I think she's a more fun character in the third season than Olaf is.
Mhm.
Like, I am much more entertained by her,
That's because Olaf's so broody in the third season.
Also true.
but
And,
she's
like-
also hilarious.
Yes.
And has great costumes.
Yeah.
But he's no Patrick Harris. I can't make the leap.
He's broody because he's not getting
What
the attention of the man with no hair and
Let's just call him the man and the
yes.
woman.
Yeah.
his mentors,
Yeah.
whereas Esme is getting that.
Yeah.
And she's getting attention from Carmelita.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Cake sniffers.
Did they adopt her in this
At the end of this
At the
episode,
end of-
yeah. You know, after they kill her parents, but she doesn't realize.
And then, anything else you want to talk about the Slippery Slope before we move on to the next one? We can
I
talk
don't
about the
think-
very end of it.
What's the very end of it?
Kit and Poe find each other, and they end up going back to the city and find that there are several fires burning
Right.
as a result of the man and woman's plan.
Wasn't there a lot of talk, and I do believe it was introduced in this couplet, that there was the possibility that one of the Baudelaire parents was still alive?
There was a survivor, and they're hoping it's one of their parents.
And
But
that's
it
when they
ended up
discover
It was the triplet that was the survivor.
Yep.
Which is,
See, I thought that's how they
Yeah.
resolved it, and I'm very unhappy.
it's heartbreaking because in that moment they find Quigley. They're with that survivor, and they this is one of those moments that actors do this really great job of subtly playing like seven things at once, whereas they should be completely crushed because the hope is extinguished, but it's in front of the survivor, and it's a friend of theirs that they thought, well, they never met him, but I don't know. The show has a lot of really good moments, and it's basically doesn't feel like based on a kid's book at
Well,
all.
the child actors are so good.
They are.
I mean, if they weren't so good, I think the show would have not succeeded. Neil Patrick Harris or no. They're so good.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Netflix is just really good at casting and pulling good actors as well, because this whole series is really well cast. And I feel like you say that about
Violet was on Supergirl as young Kara.
Yeah,
Oh.
and she wasn't even the original choice for
Kara.
Violet. The other girl had to drop.
Oh,
Interesting.
Really?
Didn't read that either.
Yeah.
That's so odd because she made such a good little Emily Browning.
I don't know any of
Like the original, in the original when
In
they
the
made
movie.
the movie, the first original movie.
Oh.
Way back with Jim Carrey. Emily Browning played Violet. And Melina looks just like her.
I'd be surprised if we didn't talk about this yet, but for some reason, looking into it, getting ready for this episode, I forgot that Sonnenfeld did that movie as well.
Yep.
And he came to Netflix saying he didn't want to shy away from... He wanted to complete the story, but didn't want to shy away from some of the darker themes that happened in the books. Just feels like it's not the same creator. Okay, so that was the Slippery Slope. Then next is the Grim Grotto.
Which was the submarine one.
Yes.
Yep.
Which a really fun set, by the way.
Yeah.
Loved
yeah.
both sets. They do such a good job with all of their sets. And
Very 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
very much so.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of sad they didn't refer to that one as well. But,
Yeah,
you know,
that would have been in the
can't
cover.
have everything.
Right.
We meet Fiona Wittershins.
Widdershins, Fiona counterclockwise. That's another word for counterclockwise.
Wittershins?
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a very old, has pagan roots.
Pagan, yeah.
interesting. Didn't know that.
Well, they find her aboard the Queequeg, which made me think of the X-Files, which I guess it should make me think of Moby Dick, but
That's the
it-
original
Right.
reference.
But it doesn't.
Good job, Nick.
Nick, I was there with you. It's okay.
And I don't know if anyone else. It took me a while. I didn't remember Phil.
Oh, yeah.
I did.
I did not.
And
I
also,
knew
they
I
were like,
recognized him.
What happened? How's your leg? And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, lumber mill.
I didn't remember who
Yeah.
it was until he started talking about gum.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, right.
Phil.
The lumber.
Yeah.
Which we get even more Sunny development
Yes.
as she becomes... I don't know if they mentioned that before, but she starts actually cooking.
That baby's dynamite.
Yeah.
I need that baby.
I need to learn how to actually cook, and she would probably teach me how.
For sure. And all the appropriate ingredient substitutions.
Yeah.
Those that cure poison and not.
Yep.
So while the Baudelaires are meeting Fiona on the Queequeg, Olaf, Esme, and Carmelita are out. And Fernald? Is that how it's pronounced?
Fernald.
Fernald. And Fernald pose as a family and to rent an octopus-shaped submarine.
Fernald's not part of the family.
Yeah, Fernald's not part of the
No.
family. And the man and the woman rented the submarine for Esme.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for Count Olaf.
That scene was gold, though. It's so funny watching them try and, like, I don't know,
Pretend they were
pretend
a
the normal family and then fail every time they mentioned anything to be normal. I loved it.
It was a fun... Count Olaf was pretty terrible at being in disguises, so we get that a little bit in every episode at some point, and then really the point of that joke is that adults aren't paying attention, but the kids, it's so obvious. So it was fun to, like, escalate it and have the whole family.
I just want to say that there was a painting of Fiona and Fernald's stepfather
Yes.
in the submarine. And I thought that looked like somebody very famous whose name is Patrick Stewart. And
Oh,
I was,
really?
Yeah, a little bit. And I was hoping that Jean-Luc Picard was going to be their stepfather, but he never appeared.
Yeah, we never meet the
Yeah, we
stepfather.
never meet the stepdad.
That's probably... They might have done that intentionally because he played Captain Ahab in a
he
movie.
did.
Oh. I did not know that, so completely over my head.
I thought it looked like Michael Gambon.
Gandalf?
No,
Dumbledore.
Got your wizards crossed.
You know what? Dumbledore was the picture in my head, but Gandalf came out.
Second Dumbledore. That's who they look
One
like
of those
to me.
books I like.
So I thought we definitely were going to see that character. And when we get to the end, when you originally meet the island leader, that I thought it was...
That was going to be
yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead it is another... Oh, we don't...
Oh, another
Meet that
person we've
character.
never really met, but have heard of, I guess.
But
Yeah.
we didn't need to meet him, I guess. I just the painting
No.
was so resembling people apparently that
Mhm.
I was hoping we would meet somebody famous.
I'm intrigued by the amount of manatee accidents in this series. A lot of people seem to have them.
Well, there's also the great big
The Great Unknown.
yeah.
Yes, which remains unnown, really. We
Uh-huh.
don't get much from
That
that,
is
either.
I think
one
that
mystery I
was-
would have loved to know more of.
I think
Yeah.
that was a sideways reference to the Loch Ness Monster because they said something about it goes by many names and many seas.
Yeah.
Or it could just be an amalgamation of all of the sea monsters.
Right,
Yeah.
like the one in the X-Files.
Big
Big
Blue.
Blue.
That's the one Queequeg dies in.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like X-Fileception.
trying
so
to
many
get all the nerds with this episode.
I know. Moderate then.
Oh, but I like it. Okay,
We
so
always
some
have
of us
fun.
were upset we didn't get more of the Great Unknown, and some of us were.
I'm okay. These were okay. I didn't really particularly overly care for Fiona.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I wanted to like her,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
immediately the fact that, and Kelsey brought this up, she's like, oh great, a female character, so our lead female character can be against somebody else. And it's just,
No,
it felt like unnecessary
Yeah.
female on female fighting.
And then the
Yeah.
crush with Klaus and
For
Well,
Fiona.
yeah, and so then it felt like, oh, cool. Now we're driving Klaus and
Fiona.
Fiona.
Or
her sister
Violet.
Violet, Klaus and Violet apart because of this
Oh.
crush, and that's stupid and forced and
Creating unnecessary conflict.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
def-
we don't have time for this. We've only got like how many episodes left?
Yeah.
I definitely felt that as well. I think there was a bit of a payoff, at least, or at least they explained it. Like, she's a kid. She's in charge of the sub. She only has Phil, who can't do anything.
Right.
except cook gum.
So she was overcompensating, I guess. But
Right.
but she does help out in the end, and they kind of get along towards the end.
A little
well,
bit.
yes,
yeah.
and
Also,
Yeah.
she has an unexplained English accent, while her brother does. I noticed those things.
I'm keeping a secret that felt so like the payoff just wasn't there on the fact that I don't even
It
know.
just felt unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, why was she keeping it a secret in the first place?
These were probably my least favorite
Yeah.
of this season.
Same.
But I did like Fiona a lot better right at the beginning of the next, or is it the beginning of the next series?
The next pair.
Well, when
the
when
second part.
eventually she, they get off the Queeg and are now on the Carmelita. That's like when her and Fernald are actually together. Her character is way cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like up until that point, it's
Well, I also enjoy secret family twists, so to that end, I was like, all right, cool. There's secret
Yeah.
family. Sweet.
and I really enjoyed the entire like monologue / people are not good or evil. That entire like I don't want to call it an arc, but
I think it's a
the
theme.
unveiling
The
theme,
theme,
that theme,
I
I
don't think you-
thoroughly loved.
They explore it a couple different ways. We'll get into it more in the next pair and the last one. I think the way they do it with that character, not only the way they do that theme with that character, but also the family twist doesn't just feel like a family twist because we've been watching this character for a while. He kind of seems one-dimensional, but then in the slippery slope, he starts to show other elements of the character. So it doesn't seem like this. We have to do something with this character before we're done with him. It seems like they were building towards something anyway. It seemed planned and it was well executed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But and I want to see their adventures.
Right.
That's kind of what the Great Unknown too made it feel like. They're off in the Queequeg. The Great Unknown's out there, and they're exploring maybe together. It's almost like the author might want to write another series, but I don't think he has any interest in that. Other than the Queequeg and what was the octopus called?
The Carmelita.
The Carmel. Oh yeah. Oh, which is run by the Scouts or powered
Yes.
by the Scouts.
Yeah.
Poor Scouts.
Yeah.
And you should mention the Medusoid mycelium.
Yes, that's what I was getting to.
Yes.
The third kind of scene in in this pairing is the Ant Whistle Aquatics. And we actually, not only do we get more of Hookie's storyline, but we get his backstory as well, and why he has hooks for hands.
So I guess with the mysoid,
Medusoid.
Medusoid.
the fungi,
Fungus.
those mushrooms, is why it seems like they are able to, at several points, expose it to the air and not everybody catches it. Like,
I don't know, is it far enough away? I guess I always felt like there was a barrier somewhere,
Well, 'cause
Except
they have
on the
to-
island.
but that's when they were
everybody
worried
caught
about it. Yeah,
I don't know that I noticed that.
I didn't either.
I feel like there was always
It was
the
growing
helmet
towards
or
them.
if you have a little thing over your face, like they took the towels, it's just not enough. Especially if the towel is not tied on both ends all the way around your mouth, because it was very triangular, and I'm just saying, so
They're keeping the spores out, Selene.
barely,
The spores.
not really.
I
I
don't.
guess it didn't bother
It
me.
didn't bother me either. Sorry.
It's all right.
But they mentioned that it like waxes and wanes in
It
that
does.
one scene, but then it never does that again.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird.
Wonder if that's something mentioned more in the books that didn't get fleshed out.
I wish we'd have heard a little bit more about, what is his name, George? The guy who was making the Medusa fungus.
Fungi.
Because, like, they talk about how, what is he, like, Ike's brother, or was he Josephine's brother, or somehow he's related to Aunt Josephine. And, like,
Oh, was
why...
that her George? Didn't she talk about...
That might have been her husband.
No, her
Yeah.
husband's Ike.
is her husband.
Oh.
I feel like she mentioned George, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they make that connection.
Yeah, that's someone we don't see or know anything about that's tied to this
Yeah.
this greater, I don't know, maybe it's world building, but
This
not really.
part of the episodes did not settle in my brain.
Me
Well,
neither.
I just remember this stuff.
don't remember it very well either.
And I
We got
watched
it.
this a week
It
ago.
was all what we got when we were getting Fernald's backstory, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's when they told us.
But, like,
us
he's
all this
talking
stuff.
about, you know, creating this fungus to be
it's
a weapon.
Mhm.
And that seemed like everything against the VFD's code prior to the schism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what caused him to go there without other people besides Fernald being the one to have to, like, blow it up? I don't know, like, I guess the machinations leading up to the schism and all these little mini parts that seem to lead up to it didn't lead, like, I wanted a better picture in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's...
Like,
I
got
think
a
that would
fuzzy
be
one.
helpful, yeah. And again, I don't know if that's in the books, or if that's just they're already dealing with enough that this had to happen in the past, it's tied to the VFD, and we don't get to know.
I don't know that I care about that. Honestly, I don't. I have much bigger bones to pick.
That's fair.
But you should care that the Medusoid mycelium was infecting Sunny,
Yeah,
poisoning her.
But she knew the right, whatever it was supposed to, horseradish was supposed to.
Well, okay, so
Wasabi ended up saving her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
another point.
So-
That can't be legit wasabi. It has to be the Americanized version that we all eat, which is literally just horseradish
Horseradish?
with other stuff in it. So, I mean, I get it, but just saying. That legit wasabi wouldn't actually work. It has to just be our knockoff version. That's all.
But here's in defense of the show and counterpoint to you, where are any of these locations? We don't know if they can get imported wasabi.
How do you know it can't be legit wasabi?
Denise
Yeah.
was giving me the finer. My sister is very into
It could be legit wasabi because they also said wormwood was also a substitute, and that has nothing to do with horseradish.
That's true.
I was like, I don't understand. Okay. Wormwood too. Great.
Yeah.
green fairies.
Okay.
But I did love Sunny being Sunny.
Agreed.
It was enjoyable. She's cute.
All right, before we leave the Grim Grotto, any last things to talk about here? We get in that two-parter. We do leave the Grim Grotto. The Baudelaire's return to Briny Beach. So are you guys?
Poe again.
Yep.
I don't remember that stone. What was the significance of that stone
With
they
the
found
cross on
with the
it.
cross on it?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, good job. It did appear in the first season, but
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think it was just a marker of...
I think she used it when she was teaching Klaus how to skip stones when they were first on the beach.
Okay, that makes
Okay.
sense. It's a good skipping stone.
It is very
But
good.
there was no other significance to it
Okay.
No.
that I recall.
I do think they made a point of showing us that it had fallen on the beach or it was placed on the beach. I mean, I think if we went back and watched the first season again, we would see a deliberateness about that stone. I do think that when they mapped continuity, there was continuity, but I
Yeah.
just don't think they mapped all of it.
Okay.
So before we get to the penultimate peril and the children are with Mr. Poe, we kind of get the first in a series of, like, the children have a clear decision to make. And I think eventually they don't pick the two options before them. But here it's Mr. Poe offers to help clear their names, or they can go with Kit Snicket, arriving in a taxi to give them more answers. And they pick to go with Kit Snicket to the Hotel Denouement. Did anyone think they should have gone with Mr. Poe?
No.
Okay.
The
Just checking.
children are smart. That was the perfectly legitimate choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even going to a questionably named hotel.
Why was
Yeah.
it questionably named? Because it was pre-climax?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, and still in this two-parter, Quigley gives the sugar bowl to a flock of crows. When does he find it? In the slippery slope?
No. He
No,
found
they
it.
give it
They
to
give it to him because it was in the grotto, and he
Yes.
grabbed it already, and he was like, "Come on up," and then
Yes,
they were
and
like, "We
then-
can't."
Because the
And-
mushroom,
Because
the fungus was doing the thing.
Mucidoid, Medus...
Medusoid mycelium.
There you go. And they do find out where the last safe place is. Or no, they don't know yet. Count Olaf finds out.
Mm-hmm. And Kit just looks into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're in the penultimate peril. Mm-hmm. We're at the Hotel Denouement. Kit warns the Baudelaires of villains infiltrating the VFD and asks them to signal her if the hotel is not safe for the Thursday meeting. So we meet Frank and Ernest.
Played by Max Greenfield.
From
who
New
is
Girl.
Schmidt on New
Schmidt.
Girl.
Oh, loved it.
I love him.
I was so excited.
It was very fun.
I love Schmidt.
He's great.
And one of them's evil and one of them's good.
And
Maybe.
And one of them was
Is a third
with
one.
It was pretty obvious there were three of them
Yeah.
as soon as they got into like the three thing. Like
Yeah.
Each of the three Baudelaires is helping one of these triplets before we know that they're triplets.
And let's just say that I, for one, had to rewind to make sure after Kit goes, tell Frank I say hi. I was like, what? It was like, Kit's evil! I was very upset for like 20 minutes. And then we get to the triplet-y thingy.
And then she was like, oh, okay. Because she thought that Kit was talking to Ernest.
I was
But yes.
Very
Oh, I don't think
well
I connected
played.
that.
That was
Yeah.
Well, okay, so first off we had paused so I could go get more water, and it was right after that happened, and then I get back, and then she was like, tell Frank I say hi, and I was like, what? And I rewound it, and she's like, what are you doing?
I was gonna say honestly, I would have been right there with you, Nick, because it went over my head too, and then she was like, what? And I was like, oh.
I was like, wait, but she can't be evil. But then I didn't think about it.
None of them were evil. None
No,
of them were triplets.
Ernest was.
I don't think he was really evil.
Well, nobody's evil.
I don't think he was.
He was working with Count Olaf.
He was, but not
But
necessarily.
Ernest was the one she was
counter-purposes.
referring to when she was talking to the kids.
Yeah.
And then they made us think she was talking to Ernest
For,
in that moment.
For that
Yeah.
second.
The third one monitors the last safe place, which is a gigantic library.
Mm-hmm.
Which I am very sad the kids didn't actually
That's
like.
one of the choices that I was
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
like it was the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Yep.
But most importantly, I think the choice that's presented to them is presented by Lemony. They talk to Lemony Snicket.
Oh yeah.
Important. It's like, a thing.
Do talk to Lemony. Yes. How did that make you feel, Kylie?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I thought it's about time,
Mhm.
because...
Yeah, we're waiting to catch up with his timeline.
Right. Which you kind of sense before, but it really kind of falls into place here.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
actually at first was kind of confused as to how different he looked, because at first, I assumed that he was telling the story as it was happening, which I did not get that it wasn't that until actually the last episode, if
Right.
I'm being honest. I was like, wow, he looks so much younger here, and I was like, interesting.
See, I got it right here.
Oh,
when he
yeah,
met them.
I guess
I did
I
too.
always thought he was telling it as it was happening. Like he was in the present, and this story was happening in the past.
I thought he was going to. I thought the version of Lemony we were seeing from episode 1, I thought that was going to catch up with the kids. Not that he caught up with them.
Years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They caught up
Well,
with him.
yes.
Oh, got you. I see.
Yes. They met at the Hotel Denouement,
Yeah.
but the Lemony telling the story was still years after that. That's what. Yes, so we meet Lemony, and we meet Dewey. Dewey is the third.
Yeah, Dewey.
Like the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah, like the Dewey
Oh, and the
Decimal
whole
System.
hotel is organized in such a fashion.
That was very amusing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that as a person who loves libraries.
And I did enjoy some of the characters that they brought back.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of them are probably, well, I guess out of the ones alive, 2 of my favorite actors to watch comedically, Carrie Kinney and Buster.
Tony Hale.
I was going to say Alan Hale, but that's the skipper.
True.
Which, if he was alive, he would have been in the last episode. So it was fun seeing them together and him still being afraid of Esme, but still being married to her, which I forgot.
Yeah.
And I think he's gay. Aren't they acting?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
both gay, acting as each other's beard.
Yes.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, my boyfriend, they both say something like that.
As a beard with no hair. So we get a lot.
Something like that.
So they're trying to figure out who the mysterious JS is, and man, there's a list of characters with those initials.
So long.
Yeah, I can only think of Jacques Snicket now, except for the,
And then
the
there's
actual one.
Jacqueline. I don't know how to say her
Oh
last
yeah,
name.
do we ever find out what happens to her?
No.
Is that
I was
another one of
trying
those
to
things?
remember if
Sheila.
something specifically happened.
I don't think.
I don't think
so
it did.
either.
She just kind of disappeared.
So that Poe can refer to...
Wait, didn't she get eaten by lions? Who got eaten by lions?
No, that was
that
the
was Sam.
librarian from the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sam
The
or
alliterative
Olivia, whatever
school.
the librarian's name was.
Yeah.
What was the school's name? The Austere Academy is
Yeah.
the...
Proof Rock.
Yes.
Proof Rock.
So many alliterations. Yes, so we find out who the mysterious JS is, and it's Justice Strauss.
I like her.
I did
Yeah,
too.
I was so glad to see
only
her.
like her because she's Joan Cusack. That character is really exhausting.
Oh.
So is there not a part of you that wanted the kids to end up with her?
Yeah.
No, because
Oh, wow.
she thinks she knows what's best for them, but she doesn't because she's too naive.
I feel like they specifically, she lists what would be the best. I don't know. I felt like she did know what was best for them.
Yeah, but then she's got the high court full of people who she's worked with for forever, who she trusts, that are the man and the woman.
She's a little naive.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
incredibly naive.
That was her point.
That's my point. I don't.
She has a
think
nice library.
I don't think she can keep them safe. Is my point. I think she would. I think she has the very best of intentions, and I think she could give them all of the love that they need.
Isn't
I
that
don't-
enough,
No,
Kelsey?
no,
Okay.
we've seen that. She was the first person who had them.
That's true.
No, she wasn't.
No, she wasn't.
No,
She
she
was.
wasn't.
She
She
was
was
her
the
neighbor.
She
Yeah.
was, but
Yeah, so from there, with this series, I'm assuming what the book series does since this follows it so closely, and maybe it's part of why I have some of the issues I have, is that it kind of sets you up for patterns of story, like traditional storytelling. If this was a traditional story that was written years and years ago, they would have ended up with Justice Strauss. They set it
Yes.
up really well for that.
yeah.
They make it designed that some of us would be very happy if that was the ending.
They will not be safe.
Well, and they do that a couple of times because they set up all these libraries, and Klaus is so at home at libraries, and he
Yeah.
says no to the best one. So and maybe that's part of my frustration with this season is that they are breaking the norms of genres.
That's why
not
it's-
even just children's
That's
stories.
why it's an unfortunate event.
I just wanted a happy ending.
I mean, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, having never read the books, I think part of the ambiance of the whole kit and caboodle, be it the books or the movies, is that it subverts what we're supposed to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, any of our expectations would be foolish to follow all the way through to the end, because none of the expectations were truly met in the end. But that gets into, okay, and this could be a very mirror discussion with another popular show, which we will reconvene a panel for, but the question then becomes, okay, you subvert the expectations, the tropes, the things that you expect, do you do that in a way that feels earned? That's the question that I would pose about a series of unfortunate events. And in most instances, I'm not entirely sure that the endings and the choices that we see are earned, quite honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, part of my struggle
I don't
with,
know. I
with
never
it.
read the, did anybody read the books?
Celine
Not past,
gave up.
She fell asleep. We talk about it every time. And she does it while driving.
She reads while driving or sleeps while driving?
Yes!
No.
Did not fall asleep during this last season at all.
That's good.
Yay!
It was shorter.
I also watched it more during the day.
That's true.
That's helpful. I don't know where we were.
I don't either, but there's still a lot that happens in this.
Well,
Yeah.
in terms of, I guess, agreeing with Kelsey on Justice Strauss, it was very frustrating during the entire, oh, well, we just do it this way. It's justice is blind, so we come in blindfolded. There was such a blind following of precedent or law or whatever the people way up there say. That was very frustrating.
That
Did
doesn't
it not
really
mirror...
happen.
What?
That doesn't really happen.
You don't think people blindly follow laws without whether they make sense or not?
Not You would think they do it more often than they do, but I don't think they do. That's why
I took it
people
as a
like me who have
commentary.
I
jobs.
mean, I agree. I
too.
agree. But, like, in that regard, I can agree with you on her maybe not being the best guardian. But of all of the other ones,
Well, definitely all of
Presented.
the other ones. I'm just saying.
She's one of the few alive.
yeah.
I'm just saying they're almost better off taking care of
Well,
themselves.
which honestly,
Yeah.
I would agree.
I also would have agreed. I don't know if I liked the island being set them by themselves at the Hotel Denouement. I would have much preferred than to what actually happened.
Yeah, because there would have been Watch
Yeah.
the Lies, the last safe place where they could hide out for a very long time.
Well, I mean,
I guess I want the VFD to survive.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. I don't know if we really know. It seems like it's done. But okay, so we started talking about the trial. A lot happens in the trial.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
All the people come back and do character witnesses.
I did really appreciate re-seeing everyone who was still alive and laughing at that line that Olaf had said where it's like, I must be hungry for familiar faces. Like, you literally know them all. but
there
yes.
was quite a few fourth wall jokes in this
Yeah.
season. Probably
was.
more than usual.
Yeah, not that they came out of nowhere, because it does happen, but like I think they mentioned Netflix more than once.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the first theme song on the first couplet talked about the third and final season.
Yeah. Yep.
So whatever he says, I don't know.
It did feel like a traditional way to do a second to last episode of any show, bringing
A
you.
penultimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, but it just saying how it was breaking all these genre things. It just was,
The parade of guest
Yeah.
stars.
and it maybe even hit the Seinfeld ending a little.
Too hard.
Yeah.
But within the trial, this is where the other side of the theme of there's no true good or true evil. Oh, we skipped over a big thing leading up to the trial. Dewey dying
Yeah.
somewhat at the
Oh,
hands
yeah.
of the kids, which I kind of hated.
Yeah.
I also hated that,
I didn't want him to die,
but that's
No.
how the trial happens.
and it would have, but it would have,
Yeah.
I think, played out fine for the story, and it would have been less of an upset. The death that upset me the most was the lions. Like, I didn't want that character
Yeah.
die, and the way she died,
Yeah.
I hated. But
Oh.
that Olaf decided not to kill him. Like, we get a turning point for him. But then he still ends up dying, and it might be the kid's fault. Like, that is kind of part of the question of the trial. I guess I was wondering.
And then we never really find out either.
No.
No.
Well, in a weird way, they kept wanting to do the right thing, but in the end, they run away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a tough season. There's just a lot of weird things I love about it, and then things that. I
And
don't
they
find.
run away with Count Olaf.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that
true,
I didn't
too.
like.
It's so weird.
Have we gone to the opera yet?
No, that's
No,
one of the
but
many
also I
things
really
that.
like to briefly mention how much I really hated watching Larry die.
Yeah.
I was really
Oh,
hoping
I was-
Larry, your waiter, would
You're-
survive in
He
some weird way.
survived
And
so
that
much.
I thought that he was going to turn up, like
I
something.
thought so too,
Yeah.
and then he didn't.
Yeah,
I really thought he held his breath.
Yeah.
because he was
So
part
much.
fish.
Boyle.
Or had some sort of VFD trick up his sleeve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Larry, your waiter.
Yes.
Man, so many people die.
I know.
But I
Worse
did
than a
really
horror movie.
appreciate the joke. Oh, it's blood.
Yeah, they set you up to yes. You think Larry might die and Count Olaf might kill him because of the timeline, and
I
it's
mean,
not
it
blood,
does
but
happen,
It is.
but it's just not
Yes.
what.
Yes.
Are we at the opera yet?
Okay, now we're at the
Sorry.
opera,
Yeah.
which is through the course of the trial. We get
Inara.
Yes, I have many complaints. Now, great.
Whoa.
Marina Bakarin is
Not the complaint.
not the complaint.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. Is it Beatrice?
Beatrice.
Beatrice.
She played Inara on Firefly. Nathan Fillion plays Jacques Snicket, who would have been alive at the time that Marina Bakarin was in the flashback. Now, maybe he was shooting the rookie at the time, but they couldn't get him for the flashback. Makes me mad. Also, he never appeared in a scene with Count Olaf, which would have been Dr. Horrible's sing-along. So they're basically like poaching all of Joss Whedon's people and not putting any of them together, even though they break the fourth wall 25 times.
They're in the season 2 together, aren't
Season
they?
2? Who?
Jacques and
No,
Olaf?
they're never in a
No,
scene
they're
together.
never in a scene together.
I didn't realize
I
that.
thought he.
Because what? How does he kill him?
How does he kill him then if he's
Yeah,
not in
how
the
does he
same
kill
scene?
him?
I didn't think we saw
I didn't
that.
think they were in a
Because then
scene together.
maybe we
I
didn't
s-
see it,
I don't
I
think
might
we
have to
saw
go
and
that.
that
back
could
and
have been
watch.
scheduling. But I mean, Olaf pretends to be Jacques, and Jacques they dress him up like Olaf.
Oh, wait, you're right. The people kill him thinking he is Olaf.
Yes.
You're right. Oh, my God.
So none of them are in scenes together. That's the minor complaint. The sugar bowl is just a sugar bowl.
Yeah.
No, it has sugar in it that would defeat the mycelium, though.
No, it has the formula inside the lid that they put in it later. She takes the sugar bowl.
No, I thought they said... No. They literally put that sugar substitute.
No. She's talking about at the opera.
At the opera.
When it gets stolen, it's just a sugar bowl at that
It's just
point?
a sugar
or no?
bowl at that
Are you saying
point.
it isn't?
I thought that the sugar that was in it was formulated specifically to help
Later.
vaccinate people.
No, I thought it was initially.
So why do you think she took it? Because it was a sugar bowl?
I think she just took it because they needed to put this antidote in it. Because she puts the sugar on the plate and leaves the sugar.
You're right.
They needed something for the antidote. I think
Okay.
it was just a random sugar bowl, and Esme was really pissed.
No,
I
Random
assumed
Esme.
they left the sugar for the ones remaining so that they would have the antidote so that they would...
I don't think so. I think that was just sugar.
Well, we definitely...
There, it later becomes the antidote inside the sugar bowl and the formula inside the lid.
Oh.
I thought.
I interpreted that different.
Me too.
Also, the Kit and Olaf scene, so brief. That's the setup. We see it at the opera. They're just talking, having a good time. And they're talking about his relationship to his father at that point, which we then get to see, who seems to dote on him.
Yes.
So it's like, okay. And, of course, Beatrice inadvertently causes, or maybe not so inadvertently. I think she's not aiming
she's not
for him.
aiming at him.
Yeah.
You started so high energy.
I know, because there was a lot of frustration for me. I really loved these 2 episodes because I loved the hotel part, but I hated the opera flashback because I felt like it was trying to give us answers that it didn't actually give us. It raised like 25 more questions that never got answers.
I mean, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. And while I don't need all of the answers, and the show actually makes the point of saying in the last episode, you're not going to get all the answers.
Cop out.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm motioning
write
very
another
strongly
book.
with a hand toward Nick. It's a cop-out. It feels like a cop-out if you go through it. Now that's, again, a subversion. So then you have to decide whether or not the ending that you get and the answers that you get are earned. I do not think they are. I feel very strongly about that.
But at the same time, I wonder how much of that mirrors true life. How often do we not get the answers we really want?
Is that what this story is peddling?
In some ways, I do
think
think
so,
that is...
a little bit.
Because so many movies are happy endings, so many children's stories are happy ending. I think that is what they're going for, is mirroring some of that.
Well, not only are so many stories a happy ending, they're a full story. You get to know the answers you want. A question is brought up. You go through a journey. You find the answer to that question. I think part of what this entire series is about is showing kids that no, not every story is going to have a happy ending. Also, you're not going to get all the answers throughout life. Life isn't about answering one final question to a big hurrah and there's your life movie.
I do think that is the intention. How well it's executed in certain areas, and sometimes it feels more like giant plot holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that I need the answers. I just think that the line of questioning fails before we even get to the, you're not going to get the answers line. Because it's like, okay, well, what was the question? What am I asking here? What was I watching this whole time?
So, 42.
Right? Well, this.
Oh, no.
Which is what I'm turning in about a week. Man.
Did you get all of your griefs out there?
For there, yeah.
I did really appreciate finding out that Count Olaf's backstory is nowhere near as tragic as he makes you think it is. Like, I mean, not tragic.
Yeah.
You would think, given the villain he is, that he'd had a terrible childhood and that he had parents who didn't love him. And then you find out he made it to adulthood with a father who loved him, with a group of friends who they all did things together. He was part of a very concise friend group, and then
was manipulated
shit
away
fell
by
apart.
men and women.
But
Yeah.
Which is less believable once you find out how old he was.
Yeah.
And that he did have the love of his father.
Right.
And he seemingly at least had a girlfriend. I mean, whether or not we're to believe that was just a friend or a girlfriend, but,
Unless they wooed him away after Dad died. Because that
I think they did, but it's
still, like...
seems like that's difficult. I don't know.
Well, you do crazy things in a moment of profound grief. I can buy that suspension of disbelief.
Well, and I'm saying it's not a disbelievable thing. I just think it's very interesting how also usually your villains have always been hurt people, not hurt at I don't know what point in his life,
right.
but after adulthood, or if they, I don't know. I just found that a very interesting subversion as well.
I guess what I'm saying is I think he still was hurt.
Well, I'm not saying he wasn't.
Well, yeah,
hurt.
but what she's saying is the trope is usually that the villain was damaged from childhood,
which is exactly why he would be hurting children.
I see.
And not adults.
But also why I think him being an adult, when the man and woman start seducing him and wanting their approval, seems like a personality type of somebody who didn't get their own parents' approval growing up. And we see that he basically did. At least from his dad, we don't know anything about his mom at all. That was a little weird to me. And it seems like he went pretty far into villainy.
Pretty fast.
Yeah. We don't... I guess it's not clear the timeline from the
loss of his dad to being seduced by the...
Yeah. But I would have to assume it's pretty quick, because Lemony Snicket, after... Oh, now we know that so much more time has gone. I don't know. I think the timeline's a little fuzzy for me.
Because he doesn't look too much older. Well, actually, that's a lie, because they've at least grown up. Because Beatrice and him were together. So he has to have been away... It's been, at least 14 years, because that's what Violet is. 14 years old.
Yeah.
So it's been 14 years, but still.
Uh-huh.
So Marina Baccarin is Beatrice.
Yes. And she is dead.
And she is dead. And Dad is dead, too. We find out.
Yeah.
But Beatrice wasn't...
Not married in this.
No.
No, in this flashback, she's not married to him. She's with Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, and then after Lemony...
Runs away
and takes on the murder of Olaf's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And basically lets her go and says, I won't be mad if you have children.
With someone else. She's like, cool, peace, gonna do that.
I won't wait for you.
Whether or not she went on I don't know if we want to say a suicide mission that led her into the ocean that threw her and Bertram on the island. Who knows? Like, they also don't mention whether her and Bertram met on the island or if they met before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Now I'm mad again.
Yeah, I mean, the timeline's kind of fuzzy. It sounds like it does make a little bit more sense than it's hard to keep up with while you're watching it all and trying to figure everything out. But it's still...
It's also interesting because Olaf is so... I mean, they do establish how, self-centered and broody and histrionic he is, even in that opera scene, because his dad's all like, my son, who I'm so proud of, and he's like, oh, shut up, Dad, I'm embarrassed. And then, of course, when his dad dies, he takes that opportunity to be like, my dad, I care about him, I hate you all.
But also, at the same time, assuming that I don't even know how long it took him to become evil, but the fact that it took him at least 14 years to exact revenge on a woman he blames to have killed his dad is just a little
Well, I guess maybe it's 14 years of mentoring?
I think it's 14 years of mentoring and of her having been on the island.
Yeah,
no, because they came back when she's pregnant.
Oh, yeah, she's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So she's been back at least 14 years. If Violet is 14, I'm assuming that's whatever number I threw in my head. She could have been 12, whatever.
I feel like the story was tighter in the first 3 books.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Which is probably why they used those books for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I think Sonnenfeld would have made a trilogy, if not more. He clearly wanted to. Sorry, I'm just ruminating on the other 2 seasons being tighter. One of the reasons I think they are tighter is I think those were more formulaic, that slowly, once we get to the mill, the formula starts breaking up, and we're way away from the formula. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the author, more than the show itself, I think the author might have there's more threads, putting more out there as time is going on.
But also those books got really popular, and it seemed like he wrote faster. I mean, which, typically happens because suddenly you have a deadline that people are trying to push and be like, we want so many books so fast.
And not all authors
Right.
can say,
And-
I'm going to do what I
and
want.
It's very possible that he just got too ahead of himself and maybe editors didn't care as much or he didn't spend as much time making sure everything got together. And if they're following the books,
Yeah.
that's also going to happen in your show.
I do, I've said this 7 times now, I want to read the books and see, but I feel like a lot of our complaints aren't necessarily the fault of the people who made the show. I think I think it's probably more of the source material, unless they cut things out that would have helped answer some of these questions.
Okay, please read the books and then make a book report and
Yeah.
I'll do a follow-up podcast.
Okay.
So do we all have to read them or just him?
Just Nick.
Yes, Nick. Well, wait.
I don't-
I thought I read somewhere, at least for the Sugar Bowl, I don't think they even discussed it in the book, what was actually in the Sugar Bowl. So that was one thing that was in the TV series that was different.
Really?
I can't remember where I read that though.
That would have been annoying.
Yeah.
I can buy Esme likes, I don't know, what's in, and she's obsessive. So I get her wanting, I believe that character wanting the Sugar Bowl for whatever. She doesn't need real reasons.
Also,
but why
it doesn't
they...
complete her set if it's gone. She
Right.
had a matching set. I mean, I totally get that. I know people who get fussy about stuff like that.
But I don't...
I'm gonna say, just meet anyone that collects Pyrex.
What was that, Jen?
I said, just talk with anyone that collects those Pyrex bowls. Like the packed ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the penultimate peril.
We had a lot of discussion.
We did. The last thing that they this was intentional, because they say it outright, is we can warn the guest and they'll either believe or not. But then we don't get to find out.
No, they all don't believe.
No.
So
They
they
all
die.
show you a whole bunch of them being like, oh no, there's a fire, I guess we gotta go.
Yeah,
Let's
they
go
go
this
up the
way, go that
elevator.
way. Oh, we just won't go
Yeah.
anyway.
I mean, same
Yeah.
We'll
point.
just wait here.
So you don't really find out what happened.
I mean,
We don't know what
seemingly
happens.
everyone just stays.
Assumedly, they die.
Yeah.
Because they're all stupid.
Yeah.
That's what.
I agree with Kelsey's interpretation.
I mean,
of
other
this
than
matter.
Justice Strauss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty much toast in the fire.
Or
There's a lot of
barbecue.
fire.
There's a lot of fire for the volunteer fire department to not be around to put out.
That
Which is
the
fair.
irony.
A lot of them weren't VFD though, actually. A lot of the people there,
Oh,
with the exception
right.
of Larry the waiter, they were just people who were there along the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In
So
fact, the VFD...
were not as early as Justice Strauss thought they would be, because good people are early.
Well, I don't know if she realized that the VFD that were left were dead. Because the VFD that we meet ended up dying along the series before we
We
get to
still
that.
haven't. Jacqueline has still not died. We just don't know where she's at.
That's true.
Presumably.
And presumably there are still others out. I assumed there were still others out there.
I think you can assume that, but I feel like that doesn't have to be true either.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
They don't give you enough of anything. But there were a lot of fires, if there were, because of the man with... They could have made that connection, too. They didn't arrive.
kind of ineffective.
They're all dying because of the schism.
Yeah.
Yeah, schism.
Okay,
If
so...
only we all ate ceviche and drank opiate.
Coconut milk.
Oh, that's a second
Oh.
for you.
Thanks.
There would be no schisms. You're welcome.
I looked really quick because I was trying to figure out what happened with Jacqueline. So apparently, I don't think her character was actually in the book. That's what it looks like online. And it said, Mr. Poe said that his former secretary has gone to be the new Duchess of Winnipeg.
Yes, that's
So
right.
she moved
You
back to
did say
Canada. So that's how they wrote her off.
Weird.
She
Yeah.
was on the Vampire Diaries, wasn't she? I think she was.
She was Aunt Jenna.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I did recognize her.
Now the ultimate peril. The end.
Dun, dun, dun.
Call me Ishmael.
Yes,
A
Ishmael.
lot of Moby Dick in this.
Yeah.
There is a lot of Moby Dick. We find out who the founder of the VFD is, and
Played by Peter McNichol, by the way.
Yes, that makes
Yes.
sense. It
we-
took me a little too long to figure it out. I was like, I know you.
Yep,
Why do
same
I know
here.
you?
That beard and
Yeah.
enough time has gone by since like Ally McBeal in Ghostbusters 2 that I didn't know. That's where I know him
He's
from.
been on other things.
Dracula,
See, I
Dracula
recognize
Dead Loving
him
It.
from Adam Family Values.
Oh
A
yeah.
little more recent.
No, not really.
Really.
No.
He's also in Numbers.
I didn't watch that show.
We know Peter McNichol had a height in his acting career, okay?
Yes, that's true. That is fair.
But he is right. He is somebody that I should have mentioned when we were talking about who we wanted to see. Like, was a perfect fit character in casting, I think. Kind of a lot happens on this island. I don't know. This might be my least favorite episode of the whole series.
It's very culty.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the island is filled with islanders who, are drinking the Kool-Aid. The coconut water? Is that?
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah.
Now I
Coconut
get it.
water.
Laden with opiates.
Yes. Sorry, I'm reviewing my notes
There's a whole
to...
lot of poppy seeds in those coconuts.
Apparently. Yeah, where did he get the opiates?
A very good question.
Maybe they kept washing up.
That's true. A lot of things have
He
washed
was
out.
on the bad side of the island.
Throw those away. I'll pocket them.
Yeah. He had a lot of secrets, and that could be one of them. Is it... I don't know why this is the episode that's the hardest for me to remember the details. Was it just a coincidence that he ended up on the same island that the Baudelaires did?
It just seems...
That Beatrice and...
He ran away from the VFD. I don't know. I mean, he makes it very clear that he started the VFD, was very upset by the growing tension, which led to the schism. Hid out at the preparatory academy as the principal for a while. I don't know that he explains how he got to the island, other than that he ran away. He just needed to leave it all, and he found this
I think
island.
he got I think he literally got... Well, I don't know. I'd say
I
he
thought
got
had
crashed
shipwrecked
upon...
with, like, other people too. That's probably how they discovered the island, because I don't think they would have found it any other way.
I don't know. Because it's in the shape of the VFD symbol, I'd almost beg to question whether or not he built it. You know, maybe he ran away to an island, made it that way, so that only once a year he had to fight the decision to maybe go back.
I mean, there's far-fetched things in this series intentionally, fanciful things, but, I mean, you're also guessing, too.
I am.
If they said that, I might be more inclined to believe it, but...
I'm just saying,
I like that
how
theory.
Coincidental is it that island is in the exact shape of everyone's tattoos?
There is that.
What if he always had that island as a headquarters, and that's why he made the VFD design based on the island?
Maybe, but that... How differently...
I don't know.
We can only ask questions that will never get answered.
Not ever.
Unless Lemony
There's fan
Snicket writes
fiction.
books.
Yeah.
There's lots.
There's plenty
Either
of
that
fan
or he-
fiction.
How about this
Dixie
series?
Rolling does.
Oh, there's always fan fiction.
I got into fan fiction through Artemis Fowl. I am sure there's fan fiction for this.
I'm so naive and not on the tumblers.
What's one of the rules of the internet?
There's always fan fiction.
Yeah, I feel like that's... Anyway,
I happily stay in my corner.
while they're on the island, Ishmael and the islanders imprison Olaf.
Yep.
Good move.
Right.
Good call.
Do enjoy the fact that the adults listen on this island. Although,
they're
questionably,
drugged.
it's because they're drugged.
I wish it was because they listened to the kids, but I think it was because Ishmael recognized him.
Yeah.
No, well, yes, but, I mean, anytime the kids actually are, whatever, when he's in the costume, when he's dressed up as pregnant Kit, the girl's like, I mean, granted, it's the kid, but the kid goes,
Yeah, it's the kid.
obviously the
Yeah.
kid could
Yeah.
see through that, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah!
Yeah. That was a nice moment that it was another kid who saw through it.
But everyone believed them when they saw through it. They
That's
didn't
true.
just immediately be like, oh no, that's totally a
Yeah.
pregnant woman.
So Kit does arrive.
On a raft of books.
I still don't understand why the Baudelaires let him go.
Let Olaf go?
Yes.
Instead of... Wouldn't he have died?
They didn't let him, well, okay, so...
They put that fishbone in there on purpose.
I don't
think
know
so.
that they did.
I think they did.
Maybe they did.
They just didn't.
Because
They
they
didn't
were all
feel
like,
comfortable.
oh, that's a terrible way for him to die. He can't die like that. And I was like, are you kidding me?
I just
Stop
don't think they wanted to be guilty of the same stuff that he's guilty of. I think it was
Yeah.
as pedantic and mundane and tropey as that. The one thing that lives up. Because they were noble. They were always trying to do the right thing, and that was one of the right
They already
things.
killed one person.
Not on purpose.
Jeez, Kelsey.
Totally dropping a harpoon gun, does it?
I know.
It's manslaughter, not murder.
There you go.
Yeah,
Accidental
but this
manslaughter.
isn't murder or manslaughter. Someone else put him in that cage.
But they acknowledged they would have been an accessory.
Yep.
Ha ha!
Another tie into the Seinfeld ending. The Good Samaritan law.
Oh, no, yeah.
Anyway, speaking of harpoon
Guess who
guns,
was on Seinfeld? Patrick Warburton.
he was.
I've never watched Seinfeld.
Oh, I don't think you'd like it that much.
It's refreshing.
Harpoon guns.
Very refreshing, like Junior Mints.
No, I meant
Seinfeld.
refreshing to hear.
I know.
Everybody is always telling me, you need to watch it.
No, you would not like it.
You would not like it.
Anyway, Ishmael ends up impaling Olaf with the harpoon gun, and also releasing the Medusoid mycelium.
Yeah.
Thought I
Good
was going
job.
to get through it better than that, which
We'll learn
exposes...
how to say it by the time this is over.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone's exposed to the Medusoid mycelium, and the islanders just depart. They think they're going to get to a cure real fast.
I was real upset when, like, Ishmael was like, well, we gotta try anyway, even if we expose everyone else to this fungus. I was like, you ran away.
Oh,
For
that's okay.
that
They'll
reason,
drown
and now-
before they get there.
No,
I
they
feel like
get
you could-
cured.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
the
but also
venomously
they
dead
might
people.
wash up on shore and then their dead bodies could still carry the spores.
Yeah, I get that. It was
like
a very
3 episodes of
irresponsible
X-Files with
decision.
that.
Yes, Jen?
Irresponsible.
No, right.
I feel like it's, I don't know, thinking about it with like the disease thing just kind of remind me of like the anti-vax stuff, where it's like people that don't want to vaccinate their kids. It's like, I don't care what other people have, but this is what I'm going to do because I want it for me, and not because I care about what happens to other people. That's what the Islanders think.
Ooh, throw
Fair.
They were at least drugged.
So they're not totally opposed to vaccines?
Mhm. So-
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice take, Jen.
So while there
I mean,
are
that's my thought.
a lot of connections to Moby Dick, I felt a very strong connections to the Bible. There's a snake with an apple, and they're getting all this knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This was interesting.
that's true.
I was really glad to see the incredibly deadly viper again.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so
Mm.
cute.
It
I
was
don't know
lovely.
if it was the same one, though.
I
think
can't
so.
I think
imagine.
it
I feel like
was.
it was.
'Cause it was
Everything else got
intentionally
washed up.
helping the kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, why was everything washing up on this island?
Well, he swims.
Coincidence.
Yeah.
Storytelling.
Maybe the island is the island from Lost and just draws everything to it.
Oh, it's all purgatory.
Yeah. That's
That
for the Lost
explains it.
podcast, which nobody will ever staff because it'll be so steamy arguments.
I've never watched it.
Me neither.
I watched it.
I did.
I don't remember.
I did
much
too.
of it.
I
It was
remember
a
a
long
lot of
time
it.
ago.
So does anyone have anything to say about the kids finding out more about their parents and reading? I mean, we kind of get some insight into their parents and how they're each like their parents in different ways with the books and the inventing.
I mean, it was nice, but by this point it felt anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would agree with that.
Could have used that like maybe a couple seasons before, but they fit it in there.
I don't know. I feel like even though it's not satisfying for us, I feel like it's a like it's, this is a series of unfortunate events. For them to have had a year without unfortunate events is anticlimactic for us, but very,
Reassuring.
like, I don't know what the word I'm looking
Good
for.
for them.
It's good for them. Yeah.
I mean-
like,
It's very nutritious.
From the first episode till them going on the island, nothing good has happened.
mhm.
So I buy them wanting to stay, but it wasn't good for
Well,
us.
I also don't know how, given the story, I'm not sure plausibility is something that I should go off of, but how plausible is it for them to go on the seas with a child that can't even eat solid foods? Like,
Yeah, how did they feed that kid?
I don't know.
Coconut
But at
milk
least...
with opioids.
Monsters.
I'm sure Violet created a filtration system to get the opioids out of that.
Probably.
She
Yeah.
turned out.
We can make assumptions.
But I'm just saying that, giving that child a year to at least be able to digest harder foods makes sense also
Well-
for the survival of Beatrice.
And in that moment, the decision not to leave at that moment, I can buy, since I know they knew that they would have to wait another year
Yeah.
to leave again, but you don't really feel the weight of having to wait on a desert island. I wouldn't think, I don't know. I've never been in
I
this
don't know.
situation.
Honestly, I'm surprised they left.
I was surprised that they left as well. And I also just felt that by the time we get to this point, they're rushing through to the end.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And even the point at which Lemony Snicket finally meets Beatrice too, who is his niece, because Kit dies.
Yes.
Dies
She
having
refuses the apple.
because
No, she ate it after she gave birth. Because she mentions, I don't think the apple is working. Because she
Yeah.
thought for some reason that if she ate the apple while she was still pregnant, it would affect the baby
Yeah.
negatively.
Didn't explain that, but that's what she says.
Oh, my notes say that Kit refuses the apple antidote to protect her.
She
unborn
refuses
child.
the apple while she's in labor, but after she gives birth,
Oh, and
she eats
then
the
it
apple,
does.
but
Yeah.
it's too
That's
late.
okay.
So, but at this point, it just feels very rushed. So that by the time we realize that Lemony Snicket has finished his story and we've caught up to him in the timeline, even that moment just feels flat.
I agree. We didn't get enough build up to Kit for this to matter that much.
No.
Either.
No.
She's somebody that should have probably been also teased the whole time, even just teasing.
Because when we get Kit for a while too, we don't know who she is.
Exactly.
So
Right.
And she also comes in a dragonfly
Yes.
get up. This ending to me felt messy, and I don't know if that's a book problem, a show problem. It may be both. I felt here's my reaction. I said, "Oh, so there was that." That was my reaction.
I really wanted to hear about the pirates.
Yes.
Selene has unfinished business.
Yeah.
I do!
But there's a lot of that in this series, and I think this episode had that. I don't know, because this is where you want all the answers, and I feel like you don't get any. Not any, but you don't get enough.
You don't get the ones you want.
But
You get the ones you need, but not the ones you want.
Oh, that's a song. I don't know that I don't even know that I needed the answers we got. That's, I guess, kind of where I'm at. I question the journey a little bit. Because I never really loved the show. As you know, that's why you're moderating. You love it a lot. I don't love it so much. So I question the journey even a little bit. Although I did enjoy the 3 kids, and I did enjoy Neil Patrick Harris a whole lot. That's where I'm at. I'm sorry if I'm bringing down the room, but I have very strong feelings. You were foreshadowed to these events.
You prepared us for it. We have really weird momentum to wrap up now.
This is why you moderate. So find a segue. Go.
So there's so many things we ended up covering. Oh my gosh, one of the questions I prepared, is there any plot point that you felt was weak or unnecessary? I feel like we lived in that.
Yeah.
We lived in.
I wanted to ask how the show compared to the books, but somebody didn't finish them.
You covered that. She finished.
I know.
Sorry, guys. I disappointed you like 10 years ago. No, not even, like 15 years ago.
A disappointment in the
That's
making.
hashtag dark.
That's when I stopped reading them. It's not my fault.
He just called you a disappointment in the making. I love how nobody reacted to
I
that.
didn't hear that.
Oh God.
Slid it in there. Is there any season that you liked more than any other season? It sounds like
2.
Yeah, I think 2 was my favorite.
2.
1?
I don't know.
I feel more strongly that this is my least than either of the first 2 were my favorite. Because I liked the first 2 for different reasons. The first one sets it up all pretty well, and the second one, does a turn on them. Would you recommend this show to others?
Yeah.
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 There's a lot of great performances in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's still a pretty fun ride, despite being very unfortunate.
I feel like it's a good show. I mean, I haven't watched this with kids, but you guys could probably attest to it for watching it with Vanessa. I feel like it'd probably be a good one to watch with kids or as a family.
We
or
watched
even,
the first season with her and part of the second.
Yeah.
But we didn't stop for any particular reason other than, we needed to
Schedules and
finish
stuff.
it, and
life. Yeah.
But I don't
isn't
know if
always
I would continue to watch it with her because lots of people die and she gets really sensitive about that kind of stuff.
even if she doesn't see
okay.
them, she's just like, but are they okay?
Yeah. She's only
Maybe it
7
depends on-
too, so
probably-
maybe older
probably-
kids. I think it would be a good people who
Yeah,
have
maybe
10
the ones
and
that
older.
10 or 11, that red Harry Potter, or
Yeah.
know about that kind of stuff already.
Potter.
That's the already
She's
reads
allowed
Harry
to
Potter.
watch the first 3
Harry Potter
Potters.
eases you into it more
Yeah.
than this does.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Because you don't get your first death until the 4th book. Well,
I was gonna say-
no,
Josephine.
Well, first
No,
one,
I don't know.
he's
I
talking
meant
about Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter,
Oh,
saying
Harry Potter.
that it eases you into it, unless you count Harry's parents.
Here's what I would
I was-
say. I think the production values are amazing.
Mhm.
And if you really like a good I mean, the cinematography, art direction, costume direction, all of that stuff is tight. If you're a fan of Neil Patrick Harris, this is totally a star vehicle for him. It's all NPH. He even sings. All the things he sings. So if you love NPH, this is a good thing for you. If you like dark comedy, this is a very well done dark comedy. But I don't know that I would recommend this to everybody. This is not an every man's kind
Probably
of
not.
fantasy even.
I don't know. I don't know that I'd ever recommend any show to everybody.
There are
Like,
some that I recommend
I mean-
everybody.
Yeah.
Not Seinfeld.
Proof positive today. There are some that I literally recommend to everybody. This would not be one that I would do that. But I wouldn't say, no, don't watch it. I think it's worth watching. I don't regret watching it. I just was never, I was never in love with where it went.
I think I would recommend it to specific, people. I feel like I can't think of a show I would recommend to everybody. I can't think of one. That doesn't mean there isn't one. But I also think the stylization, it will hold it, like it won't, I think it'll age well as well. Like there's nothing about it that sets it in the 80s, the 90s, the present day. Like it kind of is in its own place, its own time.
It's truly a fantasy in most definition points around the genre. And that will allow it to hold up.
This is kind of a question that's been asked for other panels that end with the show. Would you have watched more seasons to try to get some of these answers, especially knowing there aren't more books?
A definite no. I think
No.
I know it told a concise story, and I think good for them for sticking to only doing the 13 books and not trying to extend it beyond its source material.
Yeah, we just
Like
talked about
13
this on
Reasons
13
Why.
Reasons
We
Why.
did. We just talked about this on 13 Reasons Why. That show, 13 Reasons Why, it is presenting some problems that they've gone beyond the source material, and it's problematic. So I'm really glad that this show did not. It stuck to the source material. They did the 13 books, and they're done. That's all they need to do. They don't need to go outside of the source. So
Well, they said from the beginning too. I think they had the first season, and then they got renewed for the 2 more seasons. Like, okay, well, we can finish adapting the books from there. We're not going to try and go for another season or anything like that.
Yeah, that was smart.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, and also too, it gets to a certain point where if they're trying to be the same age as the kids, they're obviously going to grow up. Because I think that's why they were trying to get the filming done so fast, was because obviously after that play class, he went through puberty, his voice was changing, Violet was growing taller, growing older, same thing with Sunny. They needed to get the filming done, at least if they wanted to keep it within the same relevant time period.
That's true. From a practical standpoint, I think, Jen and Kristen are spot on. But if they made one, I'd watch it. If they made an attempt, I'd watch it. It doesn't mean I'd like it. But
Yeah.
I would watch a spin-off.
I think there's a couple of things they could... I don't think I would mind seeing the VFD at its height. I don't think...
prequel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think I would mind, I don't know, some sort of wrap-up of the man and the woman finishing their story and finding out what happened to them. Because that, I don't know, doesn't sit well, that they're just out there murdering people.
I would be... I think one of the biggest disappointments of the end is the fact that they end it with Beatrice and they put so much...
Emphasis on her.
I either needed more of her to get to that point where I think that they felt like it was for it to be a payoff. A little bit more of her growing up still apparently being parented by the Baudelaires.
And I don't know why they thought that would be a payoff, just because her name was Beatrice and Lemony was in
And
love
she
with
went
the
by
Beatrice.
the last name of Baudelaire, obviously, rather than giving her her actual last name of Snicket, they raised her, and either she chose it, or they just were like, here, we'll give you our name, or something. I don't know. To me, I agree with the choice to end it at the source material, and I think that was a great decision by them. I would still watch more, and I would still really like to know why we should care about, Beatrice. Why she has this point.
Yeah, I feel like baby Beatrice going and meeting her Uncle Lemony, I feel like that was added for the TV show. If I remember my Wikipedia-ing correctly, this was, back when it came out. I think that was added for TV. I think that was done as kind of a wrap-up.
And their...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think the book ends with just them leaving the island and then not knowing what happens to them. I think that's where the book ends.
And there is a line before Lemony Beatrice finds Lemony. He says something along the lines of, "This isn't my story, this is theirs." So I can see the books just leaving it at that. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
What
Lemony had a
about-
terrible life.
The man and the woman, weren't they in the hotel when it caught on fire?
I thought they left. But I guess, I don't know, maybe we don't see.
Who starts the fire?
Olaf.
We didn't start the fire.
At the suggestion of Sunny.
I would imagine they probably escaped. I can't see them dying in a fire.
Yeah, I don't.
Poetic justice if they did, though.
True.
Mr. Poetic Justice.
True that.
Is anyone going to read the books now that they've seen the show?
Maybe.
I know I said that last time, but no, I don't need to read the books.
I don't think so.
If Nessa decided she wanted
I
to
was gonna
read
say, I
them,
might read
but
them for
I'm
myself.
not sure that I would be like, Nessa, let's read these books, because there are plenty of other books from my childhood I'd read with her first. Ones I actually finished and kept reading.
These are definitely on my list. I think this Oz and Harry Potter, those series are probably start with Oz because they're a little more kid friendly. But those are the children's book series I'm going to start with. When we're not that you're ever really past Dr. Seuss, but that's where we are right now.
Those are classics.
You mean with your own kids? For the listeners who don't know what he's talking about.
But him too.
Any last? This is probably the longest of the 3 we've done, but any
for the shortest season, we had feelings.
Yeah, lots of feelings.
Is there anything else? Any elements we didn't get to?
I loved the acronyms. The fact that they were able to come up with so many VFD phrases really made my life.
Oh.
That's true. There were an incredible dearth of VFD.
And all the alliterations were kind of fun, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
not just the chapter titles.
That's true. So to the recommendation question, I would probably recommend it to people who love wordplay because there is a ton of it in this.
And I wonder if the books are like...
I think they
more.
are.
I think they are.
I would imagine.
I think I remember them being.
VFD, very frickin' definitely.
That's a lovely note, don't you think?
Yeah.
Do you want to say any parting thoughts, moderator?
No, I think we can put this one in our back pocket.
Well, good. So what I'm going to do now is thank Nick for moderating this panel. And then I'm also going to thank Kelsey and Selene and Kristen and Jen and myself for being a panelist. And now it's time for the credits. Couch Potatoes Unite! Was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, which is really another way of saying executively produced by me, Kylie Piette. My associate producers are Krista Pennington and Selene Rezmer. I edit this podcast, and our logo is by Rebecca Wallace. Our marketing graphic artist is Krista. Our theme song was written by Sarah Milbratz and sung by Sarah, Amy McDaniel, and Kelsey Rezmer. Kelsey played the keyboard, Ian McDonough played the bass, Christian Somerville played the guitar, and the whole kit and caboodle was engineered and produced by Kyle Aspinall and Christian. We hail from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts. Give us stars, give us comments, give us reviews. Let us know how we're doing. Send us a message. We might just read it on the podcast. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we should keep, what we should toss. You know how it goes. And if you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, where we have a guest book, by email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via our social media, Facebook, Twitter at CPU Podcast, and Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite. Though, of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We always have several more new episodes coming down the pike. Just listen to our intros. And if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, just find us. We are everywhere and searchable wherever you look for things on the internet. You can search for us, or you can subscribe at our website, our channels, our social media accounts. Stay up on our new events and episodes. Until the next time, a series of unfortunate events is available to stream on Netflix because that is the network who made it and is our unofficial non-sponsor who doesn't give us any free subscriptions, and you please tell them how bad that is. Our coverage of ASOUE as a panel is now done, though I wouldn't be surprised if it cropped up in other discussions from time to time. If you have nominations for shows we should cover on our podcast, contact us via social media or our email. You can volunteer to be a panelist too. In fact, we're getting new panelists all the time, so please feel free to join the circus. In the meantime, and until next time, until next episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned. Bye.